And so I was dismayed when I heard the Lord say that the government is preparing to make an announcement concerning banks. And as I was feeling this distress and having questions about what this means in my own heart, I saw the US dollar before me, and it was made of solid silver. So it's the dollar symbol like this, and it was made of silver, very thick and heavy silver. The motif was made of thick and heavy silver, and it was dissolving right in front of me. It was as if someone was pouring a very strong acid on this metal so that it began to burn and smoke, and yet there was no fire. I don't know if you've ever seen what happens to a metal when you pour, I guess, science experiments, sulfuric acid or some kind of acid on it, and it's stronger than the metal. The metal begins to smoke like that, but it doesn't burn with a flame. That's what I saw. It was dissolving and it was eating away from the edges, and I truly was filled with dismay watching the US dollar sign in silver smoking and dissolving until it completely dissolved away. And the Lord began to speak to me and say, Celestial, do not be dismayed. But I cried out in the dream and I said, Lord, all my labor will dissolve away. I had hoped to have something in life, Lord, but it will be taken away. And the Lord said, money will be in the cloud. It will not be gone. You will just never touch real money again, but it will still be there. Everyone will be bankrupt in that sense, meaning inability to touch real money, is that everyone will be bankrupt in that sense when their money is converted to central bank digital currency without their consent. The banks have nothing on the balance sheet, and very soon they will have to confess it. America will experience systemic bank failure and see a collapse of her money system. But I will care for you. Do not be afraid. I am the Lord. I will look after you. And he said a few other things that I will not say here. And so here is the dream that I was watching when I was angry. I dreamt that I was in this huge school gym. Now, I'm not saying it was a school gym. It just looked like a school gym, but it also looked like these very big convention centers where they get together to show the very latest in scientific and technological innovation. I've never been to one of those things, but I've seen them on TV where they rent these massive halls, and then there's booths in them, and everyone is showing off the new robot arm or the new technology. It was like that. So I was browsing in this room, but I don't know what they were exhibiting. I cannot remember a single thing that I saw in this dream that was in that convention hall. So I was just going from booth to booth and looking at very curious things, but I can't recall now what was there. I think God just doesn't want me to remember it. And then suddenly I looked at the top of the hall. For some reason, my eyes were lifted to the top of the hall, and I saw the US dollar symbol, and it was being doused with so much water. So the symbol was there again at the top of the hall, and yet water was pouring on it and starting to flood the dollar. And it looked like someone was trying to drown the US dollar. And from the looks of it, whoever was trying to douse the dollar was succeeding. So the dollar was being drowned. And I've spoken of this drowning in the prophecy Underwater, where I said that the Lord just showed me a clear white bathroom, just an empty bathroom. And when I saw that vision, the water was already more than halfway. So the water had already come up from the floor. It had covered the tub. It had covered the toilet, and it was creeping up the walls. And the Lord was saying in that dream that the US financial system is going to be completely drowned. The stock market will be drowned. Everything that relates to money, even the people who do the credit rating agencies, anything that is linked to the US financial system is going to be completely drowned. And in that dream, which was last year sometime, the Lord said that very soon we would not be able to withdraw money from the banks, that we would lose the privilege of ATMs and PIN numbers and user privacy and something like that. And so I will leave that prophecy below. It's a written prophecy and it's also a video. So I've already covered that. But in addition to the water drowning the dollar was also smoking like acid, just like it was when God was comforting me. And I said I saw the dollar smoking while he was talking to me. And the Spirit of the Lord came on me when I was at that convention. So the Spirit of the Lord fell on me, and I began to prophesy in that dream about the collapse of the US dollar. I began to prophesy and talk about the coming changes to money. And in the dream, just like in real life, people began to mock me. They began to rebuke me. They said, there she goes again. And they walked by and they shook their heads like, when are you going to stop this? When are you going to cease from this that you do? And as I was pointing to the air, to the dollar that I saw drowning, as I was pointing to the dollar that I saw being eaten away by acid and drowning at the same time, nobody saw anything. So they only saw me, and they were saying, why does she do these things? Why does she do these things? And I was describing what I was seeing. But they were saying, be quiet, Cassandra. Cassandra is a prophetess from mythology. She's not even mythology. She's a real person. Cassandra, I think, lived in the kingdom of Troy. I think Troy was a Greek city or something like that. And Cassandra basically interacted with not the Nephilim, but she interacted with the fallen angels at that time who used to present themselves as gods, the gods of Olympus, Zeus, and all the rest of them, Hera, all of them. These things are all the fallen, appearing male and female, and they have always involved themselves in the lives of human beings. So Cassandra said that she wanted the power to prophesy, and she consorted with one of the gods who was in love with her and wanted to mate with her, which is what the fallen always did in those days. And so Cassandra made the deal that she would receive the power of prophecy, and then when it came time to mate with this fallen one, she refused to go through with her part of the deal. And so the fallen one cursed her, and the curse he placed upon her is that you will prophesy accurately, and you will speak things that are true, but men will never believe you. And this goes to show the heart of Satan. It is the great desire of Satan. For Satan cannot block true messages, but it is the great desire of Satan to see people destroyed because they cannot perceive true prophecy. Satan loves, because Satan served God for millennia. We have no idea how long the fallen ones were in the presence of Elohim himself before they were cast out. So Satan can instantly recognize true prophecy, and he will fight that person and attack that person using the mouths of those who cannot. Satan loves to watch the people that true prophecy is supposed to save, protect, warn, and draw away from hell. He loves to watch them call it false. It is one of his greatest joys to see the true word of God, to see the people who speak it being hung and being burned and being put in jail forever and being crucified and being mocked. So Cassandra's curse was that she would prophesy the truth, and then people would mock her and say, oh, Cassandra. And then her prophecy would come true, and the people who said, oh, Cassandra, would suffer because of Cassandra's prophecy. In the dream, this is what Americans were saying to me. Be quiet, Cassandra. There she goes again, Cassandra. And so they were walking by and saying things like, why would the dollar ever fail when everyone uses it? They walked by and said things like, she just says these things for attention, you know? They walked by and said things like, she's been saying this stuff for a long time, but nothing ever happens. That's my problem with believing her. And they just had this offhand, very casual and dismissive manner, as if I was not a person standing there that could hear what they were saying. Some people walked by and they laughed. Some people walked by and they looked at me with pity. And as this was happening that I've gone through for many years, I became so angry. Not angry because I received the word of the Lord, but angry at having to deal with hard-hearted people, trying to show them compassion, trying to show them who God really is, how to serve him, warning and warning only to be ridiculed. And my anger was hot in that dream. And that's when the Lord broke into the dream sequence. And his words were like water pouring on fire that was in my heart. He said, there is nothing on the U.S. balance sheet, Celestial. There's absolutely nothing. It is naked and empty, and soon the government will have to confess. They're having meetings about it right now in secret, about how to navigate a coming dollar crisis in which everything will collapse. There will be an epicenter of failure, one of the big banks, and after that, one by one, they will all collapse.